Thank you for staying with us. You're still watching The Breakfast on Plus TV Africa. It's time to take our global stories that has made it to the front pages of our national dailies this morning. And joining us to review the papers is Professor Kamilu Sani Fage. He's from the Department of Political Science, Bayero University, Kano. Good morning, sir. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning, and thank you for having me.
Always a pleasure. Compliments of the season to you.
Same to you.
All right. Okay, so we'll begin with the Daily Trust this morning, and it leads with Stampedes killed 213 Nigerians in 11 years. On the Punch, it's also the main story there. It says Stampede deaths, states list tough conditions for palliative distribution. Organizers, that's the writer here, says organizers must secure permits, provide medical team, ambulances, security, others insist governors. I know that the Lagos state government has also spoken about that, and it's not just for the Yuletide season. I think in Lagos state, they said if you're going to have an event whereby there's going to be more than 250 people at that event, you need to, of course, get a permit. You have to ensure that you have all of the security measures, the ambulance, and everything that is necessary for that. But I want to get your take on the fact that these stampedes have been happening in Nigeria now. You know, especially in the past few days, we've seen the Christmas party that happened where some of the children were killed. We've seen what has happened in Okija as well. We've seen Abuja also. So it's quite unfortunate that these people, of course, it's the Yuletide season, they want to get certain palliatives, but in getting this palliative, it has also led to their death. I want to get your take, please.
Yeah, it's quite unfortunate, like you said. At least within the last 1 week or so, we had these things 3 times, and the number of people that died. It is rather, 3 too much, because we had it like what Daily Trust said, that we had it how many times in the last 11 years. And what happened is that usually when these things happen, nothing is done after it, okay? Secondly, we have to look at the last 3 things that happen. They are pushed by, the hard conditions of the society, and people, are scrambling for this. At least, to me, I think there are lessons that the government and the people and all of us should learn from this stampede. For the government, they have to know that people are now in their condition. There is poverty, there is hunger in the country. Secondly, the government has to know that if there are other causes of it, but primarily is the government policies that push these things, okay? And for all of us, we have to know the importance of organization. Part of the problem is if there is something, we all rush into it, and we end up having this kind of stampede. So individually, we have to take the idea of the need for organization. Those who are to organize the thing have to take it. And most importantly, the government has to take care into these issues in terms of, now where they are given permission and other things, conditions that they have to be done before people will organize such events.
On the Vanguard, it says, Abuja Stampede, crowd overwhelming, we were swept away, and that is according to the survivors. I think it's important to even note to people that if you're going for such events, just be in an orderly manner, because most times it's because everybody is rushing all at the same time to get something. I think there was even a video of a man trying to share rice or something like that. The moment he opened his boot, everybody already clamped down. Some people were trying to get into his SUV to even bring it out, all the rice poured. So even if someone is trying to share something for you, it's as simple as being in an orderly manner. Because in as much as we're saying these people need to have, all of the security personnel, ambulance, get a permit and all of that, also the people have their own role to play, which is ensuring that in as much as you want to get something, just be orderly, and that way you'll still get it at the end of the day. It's quite unfortunate that, this has happened But still, of course, the government needs to do what needs to be done to ensure the safety of all Nigerians. All right, so another story here on the Daily Trust, well, says U-Tide, airfare skyrockets amidst operators' capacity crunch. So I remember a friend of mine was trying to go from Abuja to Enugu, and she shared up a screenshot on social media, and it was over 600,000 naira. And she even tried to book like several weeks back. But we're seeing airfares skyrockets. Shouldn't something be done? I know that, the president has said there's going to be free train rides for people. Now they're also talking about 50% for bus travels as well. But with airfares, these operators, it seems like they just put whatever amount they decide and they expect Nigerians to pay. Your take, please.
Yeah. Yeah, you see, this is part of the attitude, our own behavior. Whenever there is a need, we try to capitalize on that. In the past, the opposite used to be the case. Whenever you have events like this, people tend to give bonuses, people tend to cut prices, the cost of things. That is how we used to have it in the past. But now the thing has changed. People are so greedy. And, we try to capitalize on, the needs of Nigerians. And I think the one thing is that despite the fact that we are trying to operate a capitalist economy, a liberal economy, I think the government has to intervene in this situation. There is need, to regulate, these kind of things. You cannot arbitrarily, hike the price of things and put your fellow citizens in hardship. So I think there is need that one, and there is also need for us to be conscientious that there is no benefit if we put people in such hardship. So I think individually we have to do it, but most importantly, the government has to come up and put certain limit to it. Okay, even in countries where you have capitalism like that, like America, Germany, UK, they don't allow these things. They don't give it like a pre-license today just because I have something, I will hike it, multiply it over and over. There has to be a regulation. And the other thing also, if we have to also take into consideration the fact that they too are there to make a profit, but look at the cost of aviation fuel, other things, taxation, and other things. So these are all the things that the government has to come to create that conducive atmosphere for the business to operate. And they have to also to make sure that people don't, capitalize to put Nigerians into difficulty.
Yeah, very well said. That's just what you would expect, because we cannot just be paying whatever price they decide to set. All right, so talking about prices, there's another story here on the Daily Trust that says, despite petrol price cuts, NNPCL stations others sell above 1,000 naira per litre. So, of course, there's been a price cut. We were hearing, in fact, on the Punch, it says petrol to sell at 935 naira per litre from today, and that's according to IPMAN. But we haven't seen that. We heard that Dangote had reduced its price. We've heard that, things are looking up, but still, NNPCL, other stations are still selling above 1,000 naira per litre. Your thoughts, please.
Yeah, as of yesterday, I don't know what happened there, what is going to happen today. As of yesterday, here in Kano, NNPC is 1,055. Despite the fact that we are told that petroleum is going to come down to 900 plus, but NNPC was selling it as of yesterday. So like I said, I don't know of this morning whether they will now change the price downwards. But this goes to show that even the regulators, are guilty of this problem. And that is what I was trying to say earlier on, that there is need for government intervention to make sure that people don't abuse their powers and people don't abuse these things so that they put Nigerians into difficulty. At least an NPC should lead by example. By now, NNPC should have sold their own oil below that of Dangote in order to, push other private individuals, independent marketers to put their own. But unfortunately, we are seeing something different from NNPC. We hope from today, when there is this new price, we hope NNPC will lead by example.
Yeah. On the Business NJ says Nigerians in limbo as NNPC Dangote jostle over fuel prices. Now, I think they had said they were going to cut the price to about 899 naira per liter. So sometimes you still wonder why they're asking for so much. And for a nation that we have refineries, wow, refineries not working. Why is nobody, doing anything about it? All right, so now moving over to The Punch. So The Punch obviously says, there's one story here that says, police deny killing hunger protesters, demand amnesties, apology. So, of course, that's going to be one of our hot topics that we'll be discussing much later in the show, but I want to get your take on it. So the Amnesty International, of course, has put out a report, but the police is denying it. What's your take on this, please?
Yeah, you see, the usual thing, always the police will be denying, and I'm sure Amnesty International did not just sit down and write and concoct this pact. They might have figures and this, and so I think it's true. And beside the amnesty, we also what happened during the protests. Actually, I will go by the amnesty report because from here in Kano, we have seen how people were killed during the protest. We have seen police officers, live video, not far away from my house, not far away from here. They were shooting at, the protesters. So I think what we need to do is police and any other person that is involved should not be in a state of denial. At least they should investigate. After all, the police should be aware that they have to subject themselves to democratic control. Secondly, the police should be aware that they are Nigerian police, not the police of the leadership. So they are there to protect Nigerians. And thirdly, they have to make sure that they need to have, credibility. Issues like this have happened, and people know, and that is why, sometimes things get out of hand. If you go on denying the situation, it happens like that. Look at what happened when we had similar thing long ago when Boko Haram started. All that was needed then was the police to admit and now take the person, officer in charge, responsible for that to court, but they keep on denying it. And here we are now over 14 years, we are having the same crisis as a result of that denial. So I think we have to do it. The police should know that they are Nigerian police, and whoever is found guilty, they should deal with him, not to be denying, to be protecting themselves and, putting the thing. After all, there is need for justice for the people, for the victim, and that we shouldn't be overprotective. If you are a police officer today, tomorrow you will be you will come to the society. And so I think, to me, what happens is the police should withdraw that denial and at least try to look at the report and fish out those who are responsible and deal with them according to the laws of the land.
I would say that if you're not proud of a certain action and you do not want to face the consequences, then don't do it at all. So instead of denying that you did something, it's as simple as not doing it in the first place. And if you do, you can admit that, oh, we made a mistake, and just retrace your steps and say, okay, how do we ensure that this does not happen again? And that's what you would expect from, government officials, from security operatives, from people in leadership, to ensure that what you want at the end of the day is that people are safe, people feel safe around you, not a situation whereby you would do certain things and then you come out and you deny it. It's just what happens in Nigeria, but that's not how it's supposed to be in every given nation that proves or that would say that they are being a good nation or transformative nation. All right, so on the Punch, we have another story that says travelers battle on ending price hikes ahead of Christmas. Down at the bottom says federal government's 50% transport reduction scheme may begin on Tuesday. So Tuesday, of course, is Christmas Eve, and if people are to travel, most people would want to travel like way before Christmas. So I'm sure people have already started traveling right now. So I'm wondering why this is supposed to start on Tuesday when Christmas is just on Wednesday. And then even at that, travelers are battling on ending price hike ahead of Christmas. Your thoughts, please. Do you think the government should have been able to do something about this before this time? I know the president has obviously said free train rides, but I'm not sure that is enough because it's not everybody that would go on trains. Even with the reduction of transport services, it still hasn't happened yet. But there are people who want to eat. There are people who want to cook Christmas food in their houses. So I'm sure there are other ways that would have benefited the people, not just transportation here. But your thoughts, please, on this story.
Yeah, you see, it is a little bit late. By the time you delay, the effect of the take up the policy until Christmas Eve, that thing has happened already. So this could have been, much earlier, like a week before now, so that at least people will have, things very cheap or easier to buy or cheaper to buy. And then also in terms of transportation. And what will happen is that even on that Tuesday, I don't think that is going to happen because the government will issue, directives. And then those who are supposed to implement it will now be dragging their feet, or they may be trying to capitalize on that, and there will be corruption so that people will be making money out of it. Like I said earlier on when we talk about the airfare and other things, this is where the government needs to come in. Okay, we are having a kind of mistake. We have a pervasive view about capitalism. Capitalism does not mean everybody has a license to do whatever he or she wants. So this is where the government should come in and at least to know that they are Nigerians and there is need for that things, and that the government should intervene to make sure that things are cheaper and affordable to Nigerians.
I agree with you. All right, so let's look at this story here on the Punch, but other newspapers also carry it. So here on the Punch, it says, Tinubu repeating Buhari's borrowing mistakes. That's according to Atiku. In fact, they had other things to say. On the Daily Trust, well, it leads, the story here says, 2025 budget scraps Niger Delta Sport Ministries get 2.3 trillion naira. Sislak says it's embarrassing. And Atiku obviously had something to say. It says appropriation bill lacks fiscal discipline. Also on the Vanguard, it says 2025 budget bereft of fiscal discipline, according to Atiku. Your take, please. Do you agree with him?
Yeah, you see, to a large extent, I agree with him, but we have to separate the message from the messenger. I think the idea is that, yeah, there are problems with this budget, but we shouldn't politicize it, take the issue as political issues, but we have to see that this is something that is of national concern. Like what some people, if you look at it carefully, look at the budget now, you see that scrapped institutions also appeared in the budget, which is uncalled for. Why should we have such a mistake? Secondly, if you look at what is budgeted or earmarked for, the feeding in the presidency and in the assembly, which will take us about over 350 billion naira on that. This is unnecessary wastage. And thirdly, if you look at the overall thing, that the budget is too ambitious.
Do you think they've started to show positive signs, or this is someone who's just being overly ambitious and enthusiastic about it right now?
Yeah, if you want to talk of Bua is one of the major beneficiaries of the policy. So that is why they will say it is, yielding positive result. But you see, there are measurements. There are yardstick to measure. There is a yardstick of the government and the beneficiaries of the policies, and there are yardstick for the Nigerians. Okay, as far as Nigerians are concerned, these policies are generating negative results, not even positive one, negative, because you now take the measure. The measurement is from the time we had these economic policies, new policies, you look at the living standard of Nigerians, and you don't have to look at any place far away. Look at even the National Bureau of Statistics data. You see that from that data, that as far as Nigerians are concerned, the economic policies have negative impact because the level of poverty has increased, the level of hunger has increased multiple times, and the level of unemployment, insecurity, and all other measures that affect the lives of Nigerians. At least the government and those who are benefiting of it should know that they have the responsibility to improve the condition and living conditions of Nigerians. It is not good you start emphasizing that you have saved this money, you have saved this thing, while Nigerians are crying. At least what happened in the last one with the series stampedes that we have seen are indicators that, look, these policies have failed and they are pushing Nigerians down the drain. So I think we shouldn't be in a state of denial. And secondly, and most importantly, our leaders and others should know that the government is not a business enterprise where you count your gain, your success in terms of the gain that you have. As far as saving, as far as generating revenue, yes, the government has generated more revenue than before by removing subsidy, by doing these things. But government is about service, about the welfare of its citizens. And if this is what we are going to look at, we should look at that the policies are failing or have failed, and we have retrace our step to make sure that at least the living conditions of Nigerians are addressed. Go to our hospital, go anywhere. We see that the ordinary people is in their need, is in a critical condition.
Yeah, I think we want a government that is thinking for the people, and it shouldn't just be a select few that are benefiting, like obviously BOA. We want a situation whereby all Nigerians are benefiting. Everybody should be happy to say, yes, our government is working for us, our leaders are working for us. So anything that needs to be done, development of the nation, should be something that trickles down, even to the least person in the society. It shouldn't just be for the elite to say, okay, you know what, it's capitalization, a capitalist system whereby people on the upper class can make more money. Meanwhile, the poverty line is deepening and more people are sinking into poverty. So whatever we need to do, because I feel like we keep talking about this every single day, but we're not really seeing anything being done about it. It's just some people coming out to say, of course, the positive impact for the reforms, but can we really, really say that? So I think at this point, we need to just keep talking, keep amplifying our voices. We cannot.
Let me interject. You know, by putting palliatives, it's an indication that the policy has failed itself. It's an indication that policy has failed. Why do you need to reduce your citizen to beggars? You should be dishing hand out to them. Create a conducive environment for them to survive. This is what is happening all over the world. But we are trying to make it in a situation that we are beating our chest that we are giving palliatives. Palliatives is an indication the policy has failed.
Yeah. I think this is where we just wrap it up, because that's very well said. And I mean, it hurts. It hurts to know that for a nation that is so wealthy, so rich, this is what we've reduced the people to do, to become beggars. Quite sad, quite unfortunate. But this is just where we're going to wrap it up right now. Thank you so much, Professor. It's always a pleasure having you. Compliments of the season once again. Thank you.
Same to you.
All right, we've been speaking with Professor Kamilu Sani Fage. He's from the Department of Political Science, Bayero University, Kano. And we've just been taking the global stories that made it to the front pages of our national dailies this morning. We'll go on a short break now. When we return, we'll be discussing more about the stampedes that have been happening in Nigeria and what Femi Falana has to say about it. Please stay with us.